So you know that I share your unease at that modern technology, technicity, especially contemporary biotechnicity. But I don't think a lot of people share our kind of anxiety. And so if I were to play the devil's advocate again, say, well, what's wrong with using our ingenuity as human beings to create a technology that gives us complete mastery and possession of the earth, that puts all of its resources, makes them all available for our own ends, which we always want to believe are good ends. And what's wrong with substitutability and the endless availability of things for our own consumption?
Well, this is an age-old response that has to do with the disenchantment of the world, we could say. That what we find so agreeable about existence is the singularity of it, the uniqueness of it, the specificity of it. And it's precisely that specificity and singularity that, paradoxically enough, we're able to share with others, right, through this communication with others. And technology, which Heidegger also thinks is a way of thinking or approaching the world that thinks in terms of values. When something has a value or a price, it becomes replaceable by something else of equal value or equal price, drains the world of the very distinctions that we would like to attribute to it. So if we say that God, for example, is the greatest being, then we've degraded God by making him or it comparable with other things. The same idea holds for technology, what technology does to the world. It makes our existence into a homogenized, prepackaged existence and takes the surprise of the world away from us.
We should make it clear that, Heidegger was not a Luddite, and
no, not at all.
He wasn't, the Unabomber.
No.
His critique of technology was also part of his reading of the history of philosophy, as you said, of history of metaphysics, and he believed that every major epoch in Western history had a certain mode in which things reveal themselves to Dasein, right. And that somehow with modern metaphysics, Descartes and so forth, that the technology was that the essence of technology, which he called technicity, was an epochal way in which things reveal themselves to us as always at our disposal, and are there to be brought into a system of a network of endless circulation, right, and availability and so forth. So this, he said, the way that things reveal themselves are not dependent upon us. They're dependent on what he called the history of being, whatever that means, and that there's no way to fight against the evils of technology or excesses of it, and we're going to have to wait for the era to change, and somehow things will show a different side of themselves to us than they do as they do at present.
One other thing I would point out in regards to the technology issue is that the technological approach shortchanges ourselves as well. We place ourselves in the position of mastery, and we have to be that master. Everything is at our disposal. Everything is according to our will. The history of metaphysics is the history of the will for Heidegger. And in so doing that, we eliminate from our own reality all the wonderful passions, pathoi, and passivities of life that are so pleasurable.
Yeah. I think something much more sinister and diabolical has been going on in the last decade that Heidegger, obviously, when he died in 76, I believe, probably couldn't have suspected, but it's the way that this inframing of all things is not just the world of objects or ourselves as consumers, but now with biotechnology, the way in which we're going right into the very fabric of life and presuming, again, to be the total masters and play God. In fact, that's how Heidegger understands technology. It's just rendering concrete the power of God in terms of the means of production, and to do this with life itself, with the biotic, and to without anyone really. I mean, the moral issues surrounding the biotechnology are so primitive compared to the complexity of the phenomena. I was reading this morning that some scientists have found ways to extract stem cells without compromising embryos, and so this is supposed to solve the moral problem. Definitely. That it's all about it's about aborting embryos or not aborting. This is not the issue, my friends. The issue is, who the hell are we to go into the very constituency of the biotic and start playing around and recreating the world as if we are the masters of that destiny. We know that we're not, right. And yet there is a drive. What's so profound for me of Heidegger's thing about technology is that there's a drive there of which we are not in control, and for the most part we're not even aware. And it might be, I think one would have to conjugate it with Freud's notion of the death drive to maybe do full justice to the demonic element of contemporary technicity.
Right. Yeah, Heidegger thinks this out of Nietzsche. This is one of his strongest criticisms of Nietzsche, and I agree that his reading of Nietzsche he's not necessarily hostile to Nietzsche, because Nietzsche cannot be the complete decimation of philosophy or of being. His views can't reflect that, because that would be the end of being, and being is never wholly present or wholly absent in this manner. But to return to this point regarding technology, it's as if we were trying to secure ourselves so much from anything different from us that we end up erecting so many mirrors around us only to reflect back ourselves. If we were going to add something from Freud, I would also add a theorization of narcissism, because it seems that we want to be all that there is, and there will be nothing outside of us, no others. It will be a program of complete homogenization, and this is, in a sense, what people fear in globalization as well. I think Heidegger is a precursor to the thinking of that.
I agree with you. I agree with you there. What do you think he meant? That I began with this sentence that I came across in the preface to the second edition of Kant and the Problem of Metaphysics,
great, yeah.
Where he's giving all the kind of bibliographical information, the years, and then there's just that one sentence which I read at the beginning that just pops out of nowhere: the growing and unacknowledged anxiety in the face of thinking no longer allows insight into the oblivion of being which determines the age.
Yeah, that's a heady sentence, isn't it? The preface to the third edition of Kant and the Problem of Metaphysics also says that the reading of philosophers has to be a violent reading if it's to do any justice to them. So when I said that he had a hostile reading of Nietzsche, that's what I meant. But to return to this question of what Heidegger means by thinking here, for him, thinking is a matter of letting yourself be exposed to something beyond you in some way. It's not a matter of conceptualizing or comprehending in the sense of completely grasping something within a hand, as literally the word comprehending would entail, but instead of letting yourself be exposed to the matter of thought, letting yourself be attuned to that matter, and not dominating it, letting it be, we could say, to use another Heideggerian term. What I think he's getting at in that sentence, the pithy sentence you read, is that comprehension cannot comprehend, what was the word he used, the abyss of being, or the
oblivion of being. Oblivion. But he also speaks about the anxiety in the face of thinking. Do you think that that there's this anxiety in the face of thinking today?
Oh, certainly. Yeah. Especially anyone who's in philosophy faces this, because philosophy is precisely not a matter of calculation or reckoning. It can't provide certain answers. It can't provide results. Anytime it does, it's not thinking any longer. Thinking's not. It's just, we could look at Being in Time. It's a book of thought, and it all it wants to do is figure out how to ask the question, what is the meaning of being, and it can't even get a third of the way there.
Right.
That's thinking. Thinking is a failure. It can't be useful.